Welcome to Bible Prayers and Untold Stories, where every whisper verse is truth, and every story brings light to the soul. Let us journey through the sacred words and uncover the wisdom hidden in prayer. There are times when history is not written in ink, but in tears. On the cold morning of Easter 2025, St. Peter closed the stone gates behind a great dynasty. The church fell silent. The world held its breath. And in that silence, a fire was lit. They called him Leo XIV, but he did not come from a throne. He emerged from the darkness of prayer, where the world was sobbing for truth, and the media had become a battlefield of conflict, distortion, and destruction. In the Paul VI Hall, it was not just a meeting with the media, it was a summons. He spoke not just with words, but with the breath of a new era, a pope who chose a name that bears the mark of Leo XIII, the writer of the Church's first social encyclical, a son of St. Augustine, walking not to seize power, but to awaken the sacredness that lies dormant in human communication. Communication, for him, is no longer a tool. It is a mirror of the human soul. It can heal or kill. It can reconcile or divide. And it is here, in the light reflected from the walls covered with the traces of time, that the invitation has been sent. Not an invitation to a meeting room, but a call to enter a journey of light, truth, and rebirth. Follow in the footsteps of Leo XIV, through a reign that has just begun, but already echoes like a prophecy from the past, for a future that is fractured. And from here, the story begins. The empty seats in the Sistine Chapel, the doors slowly closing, the deep tolling of the bells, the faint scent of incense rose. Before the voice, there was a sigh of the world. Before the speech, there was a plea of the soul. An era had just ended, leaving an invisible scar in the consciousness of millions of believers. But in the ancient stone room, where the Pope still silently shed tears, an old echo suddenly rose. Hail Mary, full of grace. No one read it aloud, but the prayer echoed as if it came from another world. On the cold stone floor of the Vatican, the prayers from Hail Mary, Glory be to Hail, Queen, seemed to open an invisible gate where the souls of the past, present, and future bowed together. This was no longer a personal prayer. This was a hymn of humanity yearning for redemption. A Vatican broadcasting technical room. Television signals were turned on one channel at a time. The Vatican, ASL, American TV, Indian, African symbols appear. And then the light is activated. From an ancient space center, where each brick is imprinted with the saints, the Vatican wave is broadcast, penetrating every country, every screen, every soul, not just in images, but in divine presence. From New York to Delhi, from the bustling avenues to the poor valleys, millions of eyes are looking to Rome. They are not just waiting for a new figure. They are waiting for an answer from above. An Italian country road is bathed in the pale afternoon light. The camera flies along the rocky path, leading to a shrine hidden in the Genazzano Valley. The sound of a small bell echoes in the mist. Before returning to the throne, he returned to the place where he once knelt as a son, not of the church, but of a mother beyond time. On the second day after his election, while the world had not yet formed the image of the new pope, he left the Vatican quietly, without meetings, without press, without speeches. His destination was a place without a throne, the shrine of Our Lady of Good Counsel in Genazzano, a place not built for politics, but to heal souls devastated by the world. Pope Leo XIV, wearing a simple white habit, walked through the gates of the ancient temple. His eyes stopped before the painting of the Virgin Mary. Her gentle face, her eyes filled with 1,000 years of suffering and hope. The background music was low. The violin strings were sharp with each light note. There are places that do not need explanations. There are symbols that do not need subtitles. The painting of the Virgin Mary from Shkodër, Albania, a refugee from war, crossing the sea in time, arriving in Italy in the 15th century. More than 600 years have passed. Still intact, in the Virgin's gaze, he saw the disappointment of the 21st century. But he also saw the whispers of souls who still believe in the light of the resurrection. And he knelt, not to pray for his reign, but to entrust the whole world into the arms of a mother who has never abandoned humanity. Leo XIV, when he was Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, celebrated Mass here in April 2024. The voiceover quoted a passage from that year's sermon, quoting his words in a deep voice from the original recording. Whoever seeks peace without starting from the heart of Mary will find only strategy, never salvation. Leo XIV's arm is placed on his chest. The shrine is quiet. Sunlight streams through an ancient window, shining directly on the painting of the Virgin Mary. He chose the name Leo XIV, not only to continue a tradition, but to awaken the spirit of Leo XIII, the first pope to write a social voice of the Church in the industrial century. Just as Leo XIII wrote Rerum Novarum to defend workers' injustice, Leo XIV chose to begin with a prayer at the shrine of Our Lady as an urgent message. Return, return to Mary, return to mercy. From that secluded place, a reign not of power, but of love and reconciliation, had quietly begun. The doors of the Paul VI Hall slowly opened. The space was filled with white light from the dome. There was prolonged applause. The camera gently panned on the face of Leo XIV. His eyes were deep, unpretentious, but something was smoldering inside. He stepped out as if he had carried the world's breath on his shoulders. Hundreds of reporters, producers, editors from every continent were present, but they did not come just to listen. They came because they knew, in that man in white, there was a fire burning silently for the truth. Close-ups of the reporters' faces. Some moved, some skeptical, some listening silently. Pope Leo's words rang out in Italian, interspersed with English. Subtitles appeared slowly like newly revealed Bible verses. His words, quoted, translated, "Blessed are the peacemakers, but even more blessed are those who dare to speak the truth in a time of false voices." Communication is not a contest of who shouts louder. It is the language of the heart. Blurry images of journalists working in war zones, Gaza, Ukraine, Myanmar, interspersed with the faces of imprisoned journalists, black and white photos, files like classified files. In the space designed for speeches, he transforms a podium into an altar where the truth is offered as a sacrifice. He does not condemn anyone, but he implores, on behalf of the journalists who have fallen for speaking what they saw. Guardians of information. Pope Leo calls them in the very language of faith. And he doesn't just thank them. He asks forgiveness for those who let them die in silence. Leo bows his head. The light softens. A close-up of the microphone, where one of his final words rings out prophetically. Leo XIV's words, translation. We live in a time when the truth needs someone to defend it, not with the sword, but with the courage not to lie. Communication is a gift, but if used wrongly, it can become the apocalypse of humanity. Leo's gaze penetrates the crowd. The camera pans from him to the audience, then back to the dome of light, shining down on him. In an age where the media can manipulate life and death, he is not a warrior. He is a keeper of the fire. That fire does not burn enemy, but enlightens those who are still groping in the darkness of words. He is not calling us to be heroes. He is inviting us. To be completely honest, a fast-forward of data streams fills the screen. Social media images, AI-generated faces, fake controversies, deep fakes, TikTok images of crying children in the midst of war. All of it blends into a chaotic stream of flashing lights. Then suddenly black. There's a war going on every second. But there's no gunfire, no blood, no one screaming out there, just streams of data. A silent war, where AI has become the new prophet, where platforms are not just recording the world, but remaking in ways we no longer control. Leo XIV raises his hand slightly, his gaze fixed on the press benches. The camera pans slowly to a close-up of his hand on the podium. In his hand is a small piece of paper, no phone, no screen. Pope Leo XIV, translation. Communication is more than a flow of information. It is the atmosphere of humanity. If we poison that atmosphere, we will suffocate in our own voices. He is not against technology, but he is against soulless abuse. Because when AI is used to manipulate beliefs, when algorithms are designed to divide, What is needed is not a software upgrade, but an awakening of conscience. Pope Leo XIV pondered for a moment. Then he spoke slowly, each word etched into the space of the hall. Pope Leo XIV, translation. We need a disarm communication. Disarm from prejudice. Disarm from fanaticism. Disarm from programmed hatred. We don't need loud media, but we need media that listens to the whispers of the weak. A group of young people used their phones to live stream from the hall. Their eyes were glued to the screen. But one girl lowered her phone and looked directly at the Pope with tears in her eyes. In a world where everyone is talking, he chose to listen to in an age where data runs ahead of meaning. He chose to stop and see. In the whirlwind of technology and humanity, he planted a seed of discernment, and that seed will determine whether the world will blossom with hope or explode with things we cannot control. Candles flickering inside the Vatican crypt, ancient stone statues, ossuaries engraved with the names of predecessors. A man dressed in simple white, walking slowly, no bodyguards, no cameras, no ceremony, just a man and God. Before a pope appears on the balcony, he must walk through the ghosts of the past. He is not afraid of the dead. He is afraid only of a church dying in the hearts of the living. And so, before the whole world, Pope Leo XIV chose a morning without the media to celebrate Mass right next to the tomb of St. Peter. Leo XIV stands before the tomb, holding the cross. His words echo from the recording of the ceremony, low, urgent. Leo XIV's words, translation. Asterisk. If we want to enter the future, we must pass through the ashes of what was once a temple, but not to mourn, but to hear again the original call. Follow me. Asterisk. Leo places his hand on the pallium, the place associated with the unity between the Pope and the archbishops of the world. Dim light filters through the stained glass windows. The atmosphere seems to be still. In the silence of the mausoleum, he did not choose power. He chose union. From the holder of the keys of St. Peter, he lowered himself like an invisible thread from the past centuries to the missionaries who silently preach today. No longer Rome is the center, but the heart the center. A group of children in the chapel sing in many languages. Images of the local churches, Africa, Asia, Latin America, the face of the world, diverse but united. The words of Pope Leo XIV, translation. Asterisk. Journalists, priests, young people, old people, atheists and believers. We no longer live in the age of the Pope. We live in the age of a call. Each one becomes a Pope in his heart, a person who dares to love, to listen, to be wounded for the sake of unity. Asterisk. Pope Leo XIV emerged from the crypt. The morning sun shone directly on his face. He raised his hand to shield it as a symbol. The light of God never goes out. The people in St. Peter's Square watched from afar. No shouts, only sacred silence. He left the crypt, but not to make an appearance. He left the crypt to draw the world back to life. And at that moment, the church was no longer an institution. The church is again fire. It is faith. It is the breath of souls thirsting for what is most sacred of all, truth and love.